Okay, like I said on the previous video, the adapter between the motor and the drive shaft, prop shaft, I was going to put it on the lathe and cut it that way. So I had marked the drill bit for the depth I needed right off the top of my head. I don't remember what it is, but anytime you drill on a lathe, especially a 3-jaw chuck, and this is not an expensive lathe, you're going to get a little wobble, but it's going to tighten up at the very end. And bits are generally 1,000 or two under. That was a 3/16 bit. You're going to be 1,000 or two under to allow for this, you know, irregularities and hand drills and stuff like that. You can see it wobble there. But when I gently tapping, it looks like I'm beating it, but it's tapping in there and it's going in slowly. This could be a good interference fit. And then when I cut it back on, it's going to be really smooth. You want it as balanced and as smooth as possible. Now, another thing I noticed on the motor when we cut it apart, a little bushing towards the brush end of the motor. Looks like it had been pushed into the plastic from the thrust of the motor pushing the boat forward. So what I decided to do, Offshore Electric, and here I go with them again, but Offshore Electric, they sell thrust bearings. And they're good for up to around 28,000 to 50,000 RPMs. They're all hardened steel, stainless steel. They're all hardened and what have you. And on the seal end of it, I got a good close look at it. There's an O-ring around the seal. So this little, one of the washers, and you see me putting it on now, is going right up against the face of that seal. And then the balls, the actual bearings themselves, and then the other hardened plate, the bearing itself sandwiches between two hardened plates. And then we're going to put the shaft or the shaft adapter back on it and then tighten it up. So now whenever there's thrust against, you know, whenever it's going through the water and it's applying a lot of thrust, you're going to see when I push on it, it's going to have that little, so it's actually pushing against the seal and that back bushing. So give it a little extra, you know, and not only that, it'll seal the end of that seal off real good. We're coming up on the parts, and that's the nut that actually holds the prop on. You can see the Loctite on it. And these are carbon fiber props. They're good props. That's the drive dog, and that's how it engages the prop. There's a set screw for that. You can see the Loctite on it. You have to file a flat on the shafts for that, and the shaft adapter, the aluminum piece. And we're pausing there for some reason. I'm not sure why, because I do these videos and then I render them and I get caught off guard sometimes. But there's the motor to shaft adapter, and it has stainless steel set screws. Now that's the bearing itself on the back side of the shaft adapter, and you can see the white plastic piece, and it sits right up against the end of the seal, just to give the inner armature and that back bearing where it had looked like it on the other one that we cut apart. I noticed that it had pushed it back into the plastic a little bit, and I do know that they make these things for the RC boat industry, and I said, well, I wonder, you know, if it will fit in there, and it did. And very inexpensive. But not only that, it'll seal the top of the seal, and it will also probably stabilize the shaft within the seal. So all the seal is, it looks basically like a regular car seal, but it doesn't have a spring on it. And instead of the spring, they use an O-ring. It's pretty beefy. It's pretty robust, so it can handle some of the thrust from the prop. So let that deal with it. A picture of just the bearing itself is coming up. They're quite little works of art, all of them. On the two bearing plates, or washers, or whatever you want to call them, you got to remember that inside hole, inside diameter, is exactly 1/8 of an inch. Uh, that's 125 thousandths. That's not really big. And then whenever we do get a look at it, you're you're going to actually see how big the little ball bearings are in it. But that's just a standard 1/8 inch thrust bearing that you use on RC boats. It goes between the motor and the coupler, just and same application to take the thrust off the motor. Now, that inside hole of that little thrust plate right there, a thrust bearing right there, is 1/8 of an inch, 125 thousandths. So, and it skates around really easily on the table. They're captured. I'm sure that's some kind of nylon, Teflon, some kind of plastic, polyethylene, polypropylene, something. Those are hardened washers, and those, like I said, the ball bearings, they're hardened. So, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you like what you see, and we'll see you out on the water one day. Y'all have a good one.